Okay, the Frostborn class is kind of weird. When you open up Spellbreak and you see the Icicle on it, you're like, okay, sniper. So if you look at the Frostborn class, you're like, okay, sniper class, enhancing your sniping capabilities. But the thing about the class is it gives you these tools that are good for like making distance and saving yourself if you get rushed, right? But you can kind of just apply those same tools and rush people down. So in this guide, I'm going to show you everything I know about the Frostborn class, everything I've learned, everything I use daily when I play the class in pubs, scrims, tourneys, anything. Some people call me the best Frostborn player at the moment.
Quick, ELPAdog, you're literally the best Frostborn player, and literally no one can compete with you. Like, you're literally the best. It's insane.
But I don't really like that because I know that I don't have the best Frost aim. I'm just the first to unlock the class potential and actually use what the class gives you. I make this guide in hopes that someone can actually be the best Frostborn, have insane aim, and utilize the class to its fullest potential. I'm going to go over the sorcery, flash freeze, the best offhand, all the class skills and how they benefit you, the best runes to run, and the best talents to run. If you guys like this video, I can do a separate video going over the class matchups, but I thought we should just start here with this information.
Oh wait, I think I got fired over.
Dude, Alpha caught me in his fucking Pokeball again. I hate that shit, man. I hate it so much.
Stupid.
Flash freeze. This sorcery is super underrated. This is the reason I can be so competitive with Frostborn, when to be honest, my frost shards are not that good. It blocks half the spells in this game and can freeze enemies. As long as your targets don't have Harmony, this is a free 80 to 90 damage on them, usually more. You hit them when they're chilly, while they're being frozen, and one on the way out. It's just such easy confirmable damage. You get one Pokeball and one Ice Snipe on your target, and they're basically just dead. We'll go over this more when we talk about the skill Tundra, because that just buffs flash freeze. The Toxic Alot is the best offhand to couple with Frostborn. Simply put, Toxic has the best elemental interactions with Frost and matches well with its effective range. Frost is very strong mid to far range, Toxic is very strong close range. Besides Stone, Toxic is the only spell that will shoot through your flash freeze. The problem with Stone is that you can't reliably hit targets that are freezing. Oftentimes the enemy will start to freeze mid-air, so you're missing out on like a free 40 damage. Another problem with Stone is that you're limiting your close combat potential. Castle and house fights are not Frost and Stone's strong suit, that's where Toxic comes in. Fire and Wind could be decent options if you could consistently use them in your flash freeze, but you cannot unfortunately. Also, Frozen Alacrity hard counters Firewall. The Toxic Cloud is another huge factor to why you want to use this gauntlet on Frostborn. It has 4 main uses. Number 1, you're just going to be using it to throw at enemies. Just throw your cloud at enemies to apply pressure. Works really well as a way to move enemies that are trying to hide from your LOS. Number 2, to block LOS. You can freeze your cloud to block or use it like a barrier or wall. Great for trying to res teammates or getting pots off. Also, if you know the enemy doesn't have fire, you can use this to like block pathways or entryways to certain places. Number 3, your Pokeball or Flash Freeze extension. This is a really cool way to use your cloud. Personally, one of my favorite interactions in the game. If your cloud is touching your Flash Freeze at all, it will instantly freeze. So you can basically use it to extend your Flash Freeze and catch people that think they're safe from the normal Flash Freeze. Or you can use it to double layer cover. Frozen Cloud plus Flash Freeze is a lot of stalling time. Keep in mind the mist this creates does not have the same properties as Flash Freeze. It will only freeze enemies, not block spells.
She's hard. No, dude.
I tried to rune. I should have just runed immediately. Nice. I'm trying to look for next. I don't see him. He's on the shrine, Nice. That was so sick.
The last way you're going to use this is to DF. You will be using the cloud to DF a lot, you just won't be the one igniting it. Fire is a very popular gauntlet, so there will always be someone on the field using fire, giving you a chance to DF them. In higher levels of play, people will realize you're running ice/toxic, and they will firewall to block your shots, thinking they're safe. You can just throw your cloud through them and it will instantly land a DF explosion. You can be really creative fighting DFs with all the fire on the battlefield.
I'm on height now. Careful.
They're both weak.
Huge DF, 50 DF, or about 80, whatever the fuck you want to do.
Toxic Spray and Flash Freeze also interact in a really cool way. If you and your Flash Freeze and throw out Toxic Spray, it turns it into like mini icicles. It is situational, but the two biggest uses for this will be shutting down firewalls and freezing toxic clouds. More on this when I go over class matchups.
My
Okay.
bad.
What the fuck? I
Player
got
name.
that's a fight twice.
Frozen Alacrity. Very simple class skill, right? Wrong! Here's what this skill has to offer. Number 1, you can use this for long rotations, whether it be fire drops, zone repositioning, whatever. This is a pretty obvious one. So like for example, my teammate and I would land in Fever Rage and loot literally everything because we knew Storm wouldn't be a problem. You can also go into Storm and hit up unlooted areas and make sure you are geared up before entering the second zone. Number 2, this is the only skill in the game that all your allies can use for movement. Frozen Alacrity believes in equality. It doesn't separate pyromancers from toxicologists. Everyone can run on the ice trail. You can't firewall on these trails, hard countering half of one of the most powerful gauntlets in the game. So if you just sit on your trail, you cannot be firewalled. 3.5, the trail absorbs combust. Now you won't get hit by those no-skill pyro players who missed their fireballs from like 15 feet away from you. You won't take that free 18 damage. 3.6, Alacrity can make your frost shoot through firewalls at certain range. You have to play around with this, but basically if you shoot slightly above the brighter flame, Alacrity will just extinguish the flame and your frost lance will hit whatever's behind it. Number 4 enables the Frozen Alacrity res. More info on how to do cool res tech like this in my res guide video, but simply put, you can use momentum from Alacrity to res or thirst somebody while not being planted right next to their ball, even if it's only slight. That's the difference between you being on top of a castle or on the bottom, on top of a house or past the house. It's basically the difference between you getting the res or not. Number 5, you drop into the game with a skill. Admittedly, Frostborn is not great off drop, but have fun catching a Frostborn off drop and killing them. They just run away. Your loot time should be fastest too, because this is pretty much the only movement skill in the game you can have off drop. This is actually huge when you have the this is actually huge when you have those brainless pyro players try to monkey fight you off drop with their base 37 damage fireballs. You can just kite away, find loot, and turn the fight for yourself. Next, we have an advanced tactic. I haven't even had the time to add this one to my arsenal yet, but you can use this skill to create a Dragonfire trail. It's very scary. In the perfect scenario, you can DF somebody with your cloud for 40 damage and also have them take multiple ticks of the DF trail, potentially adding up to over 100 damage in like an instant. I've only done it on accident so far, but if somebody can master this or get a good eye for when you can execute it, it will turn any fight in their favor, I guarantee it.
You got farmed. You got farmed.
Lastly, and most importantly, jumping off a trail accelerates you, boosting your momentum and decreasing air friction. This right here, this is like the base of all your movement. I know it seems like nothing compared to some of the other classes, or how it used to be back in Alpha, but it's actually major. The thing about Frozen Alacrity is it doesn't have a cooldown. Half the classes in this game have their movement tied to one cooldown. Vanishing Mist, Overload, Firefly, whatever. You get to cast it once, and then you have to wait. Frozen Alacrity has no cooldown. It's not burst movement like we have come to expect in Spellbreak, but it doesn't mean it's not just as useful. If you use it properly, it's a constant and consistent increase in speed that makes your movement feel smoother and fluid. It's hard to explain. If you play Frostborn long enough and try to switch back to another class, you'll feel just so slow. The biggest thing is that it gives you this boosted momentum. Icicle basically helps you shoot your frost from angles you otherwise wouldn't be able to. Number 1, the red outline is such a big quality of life boost to you. It gives you so much information. Tracking players in the storm becomes easy. You can also use Icicle to scan around and find people.
One's 1 HP in a trio.
Tracking players that are in like a big elemental mess becomes way easier to you. When you are in the middle or approaching a huge fight, being able to quickly absorb information on enemy locations is actually really big. You can relay that information to your team or just use it for yourself to make quicker and faster decisions. It definitely can help you see people you otherwise would have missed, and you could potentially go for a big frost shot. It's not obvious, but it's definitely something that's benefiting you constantly. I definitely notice not having it when I don't play Frostborn. And also maybe sometimes, I don't know, Icicle glitches and gives you perma outline on everyone without priming your ice, so I mean... Number 2, Icicle makes you hover. It sounds so small, and you know what? It kinda is. Small actions add up over time. In Spellbreak, you're fighting people on diverse terrain. The hovering will allow you to keep good terrain for you, while still finding a good angle to hit them with frost. Icicle makes you hover while priming ice, but did you also know it lets you slide while priming ice? Use this in combination with a momentum you get from Alacrity, or a rune like Dash, and you can make some very clean looking plays. Icicle gets a bad rep because when people think of Icicle, they just picture the person that just flies up and shoots down. You can use it like this, but it shouldn't be its primary use. Another reason is that it doesn't look like a good skill. It's not like a flashy thing. No one watches a Frostborn fight and goes, "Oh shit, dude, look at that fat, dope ass Icicle play." They just sit there and wait for the cool snipe. but Icicle enables that Frostborn player to get that cool snipe.
Actually hiding in Steam Pog.
Watch this fight and see if you can identify how useful Icicle was.
Getting Icicle value Pog. Wait, what? Am I stupid?
Did you see it? Without Icicle enabling me to prime my frost shot while sliding towards my target, they would have gotten behind cover and the fight could have gone a lot different. Also, if I'd hit the second shot, the fight would have been a lot cleaner. Now that we've covered Alacrity and Icicle, I really want to take a second and make sure all of you watching realize the difference these things can do for you in combat. Because like I said, these things aren't so obvious, but if you start building a habit and learn when to use them, it'll level up your Frostborn gameplay. Here's some examples of the difference these two skills make just from running around the practice map. Hopefully it makes things more clear. So like right here, sometimes someone's running away and you want to get a frost shot on them. But if you miss that frost shot or see like, oh crap, there's too many homies down there, I just want to stay on my high ground. Icicle helps you go for that ice shot while keeping your safe position. I'm able to go for this ice shot and then retreat back to the mountaintop where I originally was. Or like right here, how the little boost from Alacrity makes my movement so much smoother and I can slide into safety. It makes a difference. If I'm a second slower, maybe I get hit by something. Here's the end of a fight with Campsky. Because I used my Alacrity initially, I didn't have to use my dash. I get to save that dash and make sure I match his to secure the kill. Here's a few more examples. You should be moving around the map like this as much as you can. Here's a clip of me just hard banking left into a structure to lose someone. Like they're behind me, but look in this clip how my friend is flying and I'm using Alacrity to cover basically the same distance. That's huge. Alright, let's talk about Tundra. Roll the music. Nah, we covered that already. Okay, we talked about how strong flash freeze can be earlier. Tundra just makes the sorcery stronger. It doubles the duration and gives it a small window of damage immunity, also cleanses ignite and corrosion. Increasing the duration lets you utilize its defensive properties that much more. Blocking lightning, wind, and fire shots for a full 6 seconds either forces the enemy to reposition or gives you time to reset. It can be used just like a firewall, but to block the opposite elements. And because we're running Frost and Toxic, we shoot through it no problem. Like here are two really good examples from scrims of me using Flash Freeze and Tundra to counter other elements. Hopefully these make sense.
There's a regular mod that's super weak on me. TP'd out. Damn it, you got one shot. I'm looking at you now. He's one. Lacking a little bit.
Hit him 62.
I'm pre-potting a 50 and I'm going in.
Yeah, me too. They need pot up too. Or they may be healing. I found him. They still flash. Shit on.
Nice.
GG's Blake.
The damage immunity window is also super useful. In general, it lets you Pokeball way more freely. Like I don't really look for aggressive Pokeballs or close range fights until I have Tundra unlocked. But the last part about it, the damage immunity, comes in super clutch. You do have to be good with it because it isn't instant, there's a startup animation, but if you are, it definitely turns fights. For example, people I play with know that I can immune to Dragon Fire, so if I'm finding someone close range, they just DF me and the enemy.
People are chasing each other. Oh my god.
Big value. Here's a clip from a tournament game where Tundra saved my ass really hard.
Careful, this is my lightning.
I'm fine with this spot, by the way.
Yeah, I got one to half HP.
I have two on me.
I'm looking at you.
That Marlo's low.
He's still low.
I got him. Hop in a big.
Keep going 300-ish. Keep going 300-ish.
Okay.
I can peel for you. This guy's leaving.
I two bigs off. Should be okay. I two bigs off.
But yeah, when people talk about anime fight simulator and Spellbreak, there's nothing more anime and badass than immuning a frost shot and a frost duel with Tundra. Ice Prism. Alright, last class skill. Good job to everyone for listening and learning about the other ones. Luckily, Ice Prism is pretty simple. You get a damage buff for holding your ice shot for 0.5 seconds longer. The only thing there is to be good at here is to know when you can charge it or when you can't, because you never want to sacrifice your ice shot at the sake of you trying to get the Ice Prism off. That same fight with Campsky where I showed you guys Alacrity, here's an earlier portion of that fight. One example where I did have time to charge up Ice Prism and one example where I did not. Both ice shots are equally important and leading me to winning the fight. Here's a really quick clip from scrims showing how fast you can take someone out with just one big Ice Prism shot.
Oh shit. I'm actually the biggest brain.
Yeah, you really are.
Okay, he's a conflag player.
Flesh.
54, nice.
You need Harmony to effectively use what makes Frostborn Frostborn. You don't have Harmony, you end up getting CC'd on your own ice trails because literally every other gauntlet in the game can mess up your ice trail somehow. Lightning will shock you, Earth and Wind breaks it and freezes you. Toxic turns it into slow toxic puddles, and fire extinguishes it. Also, when you're using your flash trees, if a smart player sees that, they will throw their toxic cloud in there and you will get frozen. Scavenger is huge for two main reasons. Number one, it gives you the confidence in solos to commit to your fights. Even if you're going to get third party, if you secure your kill, you can fight the person trying to third party you. To put that into perspective, in solos you're very scared to fight people because you're scared if the fight doesn't go well, you'll get thirded, or you'll grief your own meds. So with Scavenger, it's really big that you can have that confidence. Number two, it's just free health. Late game finding pots and shields can be next to impossible. You can find someone to scav off of, that's just free health for you. Especially with how Frost and Ice Prism are, sometimes you can just find a really safe pick to heal yourself back up. Just shooting someone from like across the map for like a 90 damage shot could end up just healing you. Also in like a trios duos format, even if you don't personally get the kill, if you thirst or exile an orb, you will get the scav healing. If you can manage to find like a sad orb by themselves, you can use your kit to try to exile them and get healing for yourself.
20 cells, one shot.
Nice.
Under you, nice. On you, literally on you.
Yeah, I know. My firewall. I'm gonna die here for sure, but they're low. They're like 20 HP. Needs to finish it off.
He's one.
Oh, I shit on him.
Nice, dude.
Oh my, look at my scab. Oh my god.
Thirsty recovery usually comes down to preference. It is a skill to know when to pot up effectively in the middle of combat, but the Frostborn kit gives you a lot to help with that. You have your flash freeze and Tundra to give you time. You have your Toxic Cloud to hide behind. You have your Alacrity trails to run on. Your trails will also get you around corners faster when people are chasing you, giving you a chance to pot. And when Shadow Step is back in the game, you have a window of being invisible. There's a lot there to help you get pots off in the middle of combat. Also in a competitive setting, Thirsty healing can really help your teammate. If you've watched my duels tournament video, you saw that Kamsky and I are both using Thirsty, so we could both reset really fast and heal and support each other. The last thing I want to say about talents is that ultimately it's up to you. For example, when they buffed Frostborn in beta, there were only 2 people playing Frostborn in scrims and tournaments. That was Marcus and I. You guys know Marcus, King of Spellbreak content. We both are running 3-1-2 builds without even talking to each other beforehand. We both had Harmony, but he had Dexterity and Recovery, and I had the build that I just explained. So experiment with what feels best for you. I do think you need Harmony to get the most out of the Frostborn kit. If you want a more DPS build, I've been trying Harmony Forever and Wreck. Forever makes Ice and Tox go way smoother, and it can be really fun to play around your Recklessness proc. I have not tried this build in comp at all though. The only other build option I've seen people use is Focus Mana. That's just a way more snipier playstyle, where you play very back and hit people with your Focus Mana Ice Prism shots for like 100+. Runes, we aren't going to spend forever on runes. You should already know that Dash Spring Step will be your best rune. Shadow Step will be great when it gets back. You most likely will use Dash or Spring because Shadow Step will have a longer cooldown. I will say Teleport is kind of nice. It has its obvious flaws, but with the synergy it has with Frost and the new mountainy map, I think it's a solid pick. If you can't find your primary runes, Teleport can definitely get the job done. And we are finally done. This video took me forever to make. I really hope it helped you have a new perspective on the Frostborn class. I want to see a new breed of Frostborn gamers, not just the snipers. I want to see the aggro, in your face, Tundra in, Pokeball, full Pokédex kind of gamer, okay? I want to see more of those. Please use the rest of the Frostborn kit. It's a cool class, it's well designed. Good job, Proletariat. If you guys want to see a separate video on class matchups, let me know. Or a separate video on what I think they could do to change the Frostborn class, small buffs or tweaks. I can do that as well. If you want to see more Frostborn gameplay, subscribe to YouTube or follow me on Twitch. I've been streaming a lot since Spellbreak came back, so there's probably a 50-50 chance I'll be live or not because we've been streaming like 12 hours a day. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. It was a long one. Next videos are planned to be Sork canceling guide, how to counter stone, and maybe a stone guide in there, maybe some comp stuff, who knows. I'll see y'all in the next video or on Twitch. Until then, stay happy.
Winds, you don't use wind for damage, use it for mobility. Huge freeze! Too bad you don't capitalize. Oh, he's capitalizing! Oh my god, he's so chill! Oh, Alpha! Oh my god, he's so dreamy, dude! Oh my god! How does he do it?